I said, I don't want to learn a whole new platform. So like go high level is what I'm talking about at this point.
I think a lot of people feel that. Like everyone's recommending different things and
Yeah.
there's different things for different, pieces of your marketing. That can be a huge barrier for people to move forward. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there and be like, what if people don't like it? And you've continually done that work and kind of faced the things that you needed to face and seen that transformation, which obviously has a direct impact in your business. Not enough people realize that. But then if you don't have the confidence and the clarity and the ability to go execute it and like all of that, it's not going to matter. Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission. All right. Welcome to the podcast. Oh my gosh, my first not in the studio podcast, but still in person. How fun is this?
This is fun. It's been a great day.
Yeah. So for context, for people tuning in, today's day one of Embodied Marketing Live. Amy flew in for Embodied Marketing Live and we're like, we have to do an in-person podcast. My studio right now is too far out from downtown. So I'm like, I'll bring my studio to the venue. And so like a crazy person, we're like 20 minutes after the live event, set up a studio and here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, I am so excited. Let's start with who you are. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
So, Amy Benjamin Moore, and I help women go from Dr. Google and guesswork to reclaiming themselves and allowing themselves to feel like themselves again.
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm a recently retired again teacher, 31 years. And so I just am not finished educating, I guess, because I feel like this is a topic that needs to be said. And I feel like I'm the person to do that.
So how'd you start? How'd you decide, like, this is it?
So I've always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit about me. I've done network marketing. I've done, side businesses, crafts and selling. I've done so many of those type of things. I've always dreamed that I could like have my own course and I could educate in a different way. So when I was going through the menopause journey, which I didn't understand that I was even in it, as in my probably mid 40s, would experience things that I'm like, this doesn't seem right, and I'm managing my family. I have 3 children, so they're teenagers at this time. I am in leadership roles at school, so I I'm on several committees, district-wide, building-wide, and I just kept coming up upon different things that were happening in my life, like a frozen shoulder. Like, why am I forgetting things? I'm usually someone that just is on top of everything. And I think, teaching in a middle school, I would know, I had over 275 students over a 2-day period. I'd have 275 kids. I knew all their names. And then when it would come time for, during this time of being forgetful, I'm like, why am I not remembering that kid's name? This is not me. So I would say I was starting to put some pieces together. I was doing my own research. My doctors weren't telling me what was going on. So I, did my own research. So Dr. Google was definitely my friend, but it wasn't always correct.
Right.
I wasn't dying of typhoid fever. It was a menopause symptom.
Right.
So, as I was going through that, I realized that I'm not alone. There are so many other women that need the information that I'm finding and I'm figuring out. And so I started thinking like, hey, I think this is what I'm meant to do. And when I started building information, teaching others, then I realized too, like there's also a need for like a certification for people to, take me seriously too, because I'm like, I'm a teacher. What else other than lived experience would I be able to offer? So I did go and receive a certification in being a menopause coaching specialist. And That was about a year ago. And then I decided, I really want to kind of go all in on this. And I feel like I'm still teaching. I don't know if I can leave that behind, which I know retirement, you're supposed to retire, but I feel like this is my second calling.
And so when did you officially retire your teaching job?
In just this year, May.
Right. I was like, that was recent because I saw you in July and you had
Yes.
just officially
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah.
And your main offer is you have a program, right?
I do. I have a course, and but I also I have built 2 apps, and I have to say, coming from your event in July, it was AI, yes, is where we need to help us to make things easier, have tools to help us, and make it easier for our customers, our clients as well. And so I built a menopause tracking app, stays private on their phone, and it will actually take the information from the tracking. It'll say, hey, did I add protein? Did it affect any of my symptoms? Did I increase my fiber? How did it affect those symptoms? And then it'll give you a report that you can actually take to a doctor after, so that you can say, hey, here's all the graphing for 1 month or 90 days. And what were some of the strategies I had, which is really difficult for a woman to go to her doctor and remember on the fly what has been happening.
That is so cool. Have you launched that officially?
It has been launched. I have a women's wellness center that they're like, we want our women to come in with this. So it's now a QR code in one of the women's wellness centers.
That's right. You've leveraged some in-person connections as well to grow your business. I remember us talking about that. That is such a great idea. I mean, I just love it because obviously you're retired. This is your next phase of what you're doing. And there's so many people who would use that as an excuse to not get into the tech and the AI. And I mean, I remember you left the event and you were like, I'm building my app and I built it. I'm using Replit.
Yes,
and I think that's just such a lesson of taking the action, obviously doing what you didn't know how to do, but taught yourself how to do it. Discomfort.
Saying it's easy.
Yeah. Right. No, it's definitely not easy.
I built another app as well, and it's basically your menopause toolkit. And in there, I actually go through, I'd had it in PDF form, 88 pages. Nobody's going to probably go through all of that, and so the app really brings it in for them. So they can say, okay, for instance, let's say they're having hot flashes. First, they have to decide which phase am I in. They have to do a little quiz, and so it kind of helps you with that part. And then you track your symptoms for a short time. But then it's so if you're needing some support with hot flashes, then it can say, hey, here's some strategies and here's some possible supplements. Here's the pros and cons of that supplement. Here's what the typical dosage is. And I don't pretend to be a doctor. I am not certified to be a doctor, but it's just suggestions to then take to your doctor, and then you can clarify that. But that app is definitely much more approachable than if I had given them 88 pages.
Yeah, I mean, and it is where everybody needs to kind of go in that direction of what are people going to consume today? Mm-hmm. But I love how you implemented that. You faced what was unknown for you and built something anyways. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about just your entrepreneur journey. You have a book that's launching this week as we're recording it. So it will be launched once this comes out. And just kind of, I don't know, the overview of your experience of deciding, okay, this is what I meant to do. I'm going to create, ways to support women with this to now where you are today.
So I have to kind of go back. Another part, I was really fortunate to kind of land in an opportunity that I jumped on. And I feel like if you feel something in your heart that you should do, and I know you've been there, that you just need to go for it. So there was a menopause cruise. Which I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But the people on that cruise were people that I had been following on social media. They were launching a book, Mary Claire Haver. There were some that have been working with Oprah. I want to be in that space. And if I'm able to be on a cruise with these people, then I'm getting in the room with those people and having conversations. So I have to say that I've always been someone who loves to network and be able to talk to people. And so being able to be in those spaces and talking to those women really helped me launch. Now, she was releasing the new Menopause book, and it was the Pause Life cruise. And it kind of also gave me an idea that, there are a lot of scientific books out there about menopause, and they're fabulous. I've read so many. But for the typical woman day to day, they may not want to dive into a big, thick book over a period of time. So I decided I love using humor in my content and just in conversation, because yes, menopause can be taken very seriously, but we also need to laugh about the funny parts about it. So I decided to write a book of my own, but it was going to have the basic things, like the manual you were never given is basically how I put it. This is the manual you were never given. So with a little bit of humor, strategies, and so it's kind of a brief overview of menopause and what's it all about. So it's called Hot Flashes and Cold Truths, and I am so super excited that it's
And so do you
launching.
are you self-publishing it? Did you go to publish?
Yes.
Okay, so you're self-publishing
Yes.
it, and she's going to be on like a billboard. So tell me about that. I have no idea. Like, I want to write a book. I have no idea the process. Like, how has that journey been?
So the billboard is like a completely different thing, but I feel like my book is going to come into several things that are coming up. So I was part of a $1 Million Room event out in LA in this fall. And it very nerve-wracking as far as walking a red carpet, and you had to give your spiel on like, who are you? What are you about? And you're all glammed up on a red carpet. It's part of a docu-series that'll come out in March. And so then the retreat part and the networking, all of that was in the docu-series. So any questions that you are asking panelists or speakers, that would be in there. After the event, I decided, I really do focus on social media, but I feel like I need to be in more spaces where I can be seen. And so my word this year is being visible. With that group, they are launching their own new magazine. And I'm going to have the opportunity on their inaugural magazine to be on the back cover, which, just being a part of a magazine is very uplifting. And then I'm also going to be able to write 4 different articles, have ad copy, and then I will be on the cover of that magazine in September. Part of their offer was also to, hey, do you want your hair, makeup, have the copy written for you for the ad, all of those things? And I'm like, yes. Because I don't participate in the magazine world. I don't pretend to know that I know what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, I'm on this, but I don't know how to do it. So the cherry on the top was to have my picture on a Times Square billboard. And so I'm planning on going to New York during that time. I plan on having my book as part of my cover. I plan on arriving in New York and hopefully having some opportunities to network with some women that I know in New York, but then also go to some mom and pop bookstores and then maybe do some signed copies and things and make it what you want it to be. I'm not pretending that when you look at someone on a Times Square billboard, you are immediately like, oh, I need to go follow that person. It's not that they're going to immediately come in my world because of it, but it's what I make of that after. How do I promote that that's what happened? How do I promote it that I was on a cover? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the credibility that creates for you.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say, like, in growing your business so far, it sounds like networking is a huge strategy, because you've got the in-person, a retreat center that hired you and brought you in. Like, what do you feel like has has led to the most success so far in your business and growing it?
I still feel that social media helped me get started.
Yeah.
Because 3 years ago, the menopause space is really relatively new, which is ridiculous because we've had menopause forever. But it really has kind of come onto its own within the last 3 to 5 years. And I feel like I was kind of in one of those pioneer spots at the beginning, and I am building that credibility there. And, you know, the starting to have women reach out and help, and my Facebook group where they're struggling with symptoms, and how can I find a doctor? How do I get them to listen to me? Like, those are all real questions. And the more I'm helping face to face rather than speaking to it on social media makes more sense for me.
Yeah. So social media was a big growth and driver for you. What is your content kind of strategy looked like?
Yeah. Well, we've talked about pillars, and I do have pillars. And entertainment is one of my pillars because I like I had said, I tend to lean to the humor in menopause as well. Education, busting myths, are some of my other pillars, and so I tend to go around.
And what was your like cadence and volume of creating content in the beginning and now?
Oh, in the beginning, you know, when you're so nervous, and I have to say, like, I am kind of a ham, so I get that maybe it wasn't as hard for me that it is for some other women, especially around my age. But I wanna push you to say, hey, you can do this, and learning all the tech and doing all the things. It's just setting yourself forward to say, I am going to do it. I am going to do it. But go ahead and reflect that question back to me again.
Yeah. What was your cadence? Like you started, were you posting every day?
Not initially. I was happy like 2 to 3 times a week. And then I did 7 days a week for a long time, a couple of years probably. And then I'm like, this is not necessarily what I'm wanting to do. I wasn't necessarily, I would batch a little bit, but I wasn't very good at that. I am a last minute person. So doing them on the fly was more my style at that time. And now I'm like, I'm not doing that on the weekends. I am spending time with my family. I'm trying to save my energy and be, you know, not when you're a little bit older and you're doing the menopause thing, brain energy is really important, that you haven't burned yourself out by all the energy that you're spending. And I know that that's a reality for all women, but I have to say it gets even a little more difficult. So having to structure your time in a way that you can manage that brain burnout is really important. So now I tend to batch more. I've hired a VA to do, I give the VA a month ahead, the B-roll, and then what text, what captions, and now I'm guaranteed I have something every day for a month that I don't have to think about. But then I'm also going ahead and batching my own content as far as, you know, having the information, education, and the humor ones are the side piece to go in there because they do love that. It's like a meme on a Friday that they can relate with, you know. So yeah. Whitney Houston singing, and like you're in the background and it's going over and over again. Like people like humor. Yeah,
especially on social. I mean, it's entertainment now. Mm-hmm. So you said a couple of years. So when did you start creating content around menopause? Like how long ago?
I think it's been 2.5 years ago.
And when would you say that your business started to get momentum? Like when did you even have your offer solidified?
So my very first offer was like, this kind of dates it in a way because it was like the 6 steps.
Yeah, yeah.
The 6 steps to feeling better in menopause kind of thing. So that actually, it did well.
How long after you, like, did you have an audience when you launched it?
No, I did not. And so I would try to, you know, I would drive to it in social media. I didn't have ManyChat, didn't have any of those tools. So it's just strictly being in those DMs and trying to build an audience that way. And again, during COVID, like I'm starting like right after COVID too.
Right. Well, and that a lot of times that is what I teach, like how you get your first few sales. It's like your messaging, your content, your offer, and then having conversations. So you did follow that formula and then scaled it. But I want people to see the level of consistency that you have and how you've stuck with something to grow your business. And even now, like your mindset on the book is like, I know that this alone isn't going to be just this like magic, explosion for my business, but it's a piece to it. And I'm putting all these pieces together and they're going to compound. And I mean, I've known you for a while, like you stay very committed and consistent, even if you don't see exactly like an overnight result from it. And I think that has definitely contributed to your growth.
I think one of the big things one of the phrases that just always stuck in my head was that it takes like 3 years-ish to actually start to build that profit. And so even though I might have been discouraged at times, it was like, but I'm not at that mark yet. And even if I am failing, I might be failing up. You know what I mean? So yeah, so trying to, I guess I had that drive that wanted to be able to succeed. And so
you weren't going to accept anything else. You were like, I'm doing this, like no matter what. What has been kind of some of the unexpected parts of the journey for you?
Oh, well, I would say the unexpected parts, I think at the beginning, you're trying to piecemeal everything together. And so you would you would be part of one program and they would say, hey, you need, I'm going to say like Kajabi. So you were like, well, I guess I need that. So you get on there and then, we use ConvertKit. Here's this. I trust. And so I'm like, I had all of my things in so many different places. And so this year as well, as I was starting to end my teaching career, I'm like, I need to get my stuff all in more of a one place to be able to, so my bandwidth again is not like scattered and I have to check this platform for this or this or this. And so that has also been very helpful to hire someone to then pull to it, because I said, I don't want to learn a whole new platform. So like go high level is what I'm talking about at this point. So trying to get everything into a platform, one shop for me. And that was huge.
I think a lot of people feel that. Like everyone's recommending different things and there's different things for different, pieces of your marketing. That can be a huge barrier for people to move forward, is just the overwhelm. And then that creates this paralyzed in making decisions.
So even if we speak about AI, I could have taken that as, this is just yet another tool I've got to try to figure out. And when you approach it in a different way and say, okay, this is a tool, but this is how that's going to help me to save my time and it's not, using it just for your content. It's giving you a list of ideas and then you develop them and, that kind of thing. And I think that that could also be something that could be prohibiting some women from jumping in. It's
for sure.
Well, how do I don't even know what AI is really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much unknown too. And then you went from being a teacher, like literally in person in a classroom, to building this online business, which is completely different. I mean, how did you navigate? Was it just a decision? Like, I'm just going to do this anyways? Like, how did you navigate those frustrating moments?
So while I was teaching and doing this, yes, I might have had some other later nights, but it was also exciting to me. I'm trying to build something, and I had a great support system of friends and like-minded people that I was able to talk to, and I still continue to talk to. I think those entrepreneur friends that you build that are starting where you're starting and you build with them. I mean, even Amy Porterfield talks about her core people that were going through the courses at the beginning and learning how to do this. They were so important. Yes, and then there were kids that were actually finding my content
as you were teaching.
As I was teaching, they're like, We just found you on TikTok. And I'm like, what?
Oh, that's so funny. That's like
So,
a different level
I'm
of
like,
visibility.
I'm just going to say, so this is a 7th grade boy. And I'm just going to say right now that, first of all, you're not of the age that you're supposed to be even on this app. And then second of all, this topic, menopause, is really not something you're going to be into. So then I have to, then I go through and make sure that students aren't able to follow me. But that was a reality I didn't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's such a great point on the community, and having people in it with you helps when you're in those moments of like the tech frustration, the overwhelm. I mean, you've really graduated from that and now have like your VA and a proven offer and a business. But I definitely want people to hear like you did that with a job as a teacher. Like you could have been like, I'm retiring and that's it. Like you very much could have chosen that route, but you knew, no, there's more that I'm here for. And we're willing to navigate the discomfort of all that for this that you have created. And also it's a long game. Like you said around COVID or just after COVID, we're in 2026 now. Like you've played the long game, the slow burn of creating the content and building the audience and the networking and the relationships. And that starts to compound. And I think it's important for people to see that like it's not one funnel. It's not like, oh, I just launched a lead gen and ran that for 4 years. Sometimes it's people's story, but rarely is it that.
And I have to say too that when I started approaching the funnel process, I was in a network marketing company, but the network marketing company was saying, hey, but if you have a funnel of this kind of thing to bring people into your world, then, and then I left that, I left that. I'm like, well, this is more what I want to do, not the network marketing part and have someone else have my business. Like I wanted then to own my own business, and this is my intellectual property. These are my people. I want to serve them. So I have to say that was a little bit of it too at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everything, all of the experience also builds on the journey and adds to it. So yeah, that makes sense. I want to talk about, so Amy has been to every one of my events. Yes. She came to the very first one that I did, which was our free Ultimate Entrepreneur experience when we changed the company name, and I hosted Amazing Race.
Yes.
How was that? How was that for you? That was the first time we met in person.
It was the first time we met, and I don't know that I knew what I was in for during the. I'm like, oh, and then the cold plunging.
Did you cold plunge?
Was terrifying. We actually had. I had an amazing person, very athletic, in our group. That he's like, I'm already been cold plunging, so I'll just take the hit for all of you. You don't have to. So he did all the seconds.
I forget how many minutes did I say? It was like a group.
I think it was a minute per person.
So it was like 6 minutes total.
Yeah, and he did it.
So there's a group, and I made them get a certain amount of minutes, but everyone didn't have to do it. So you had someone who did the full 6 minutes, and you didn't have to plunge.
I am so competitive, but I didn't necessarily have the physical stamina as some of like a physical therapist athlete person, But so at the very beginning, we were in a library, right? So at the library, people were running. We knew that there was some kind of clue on like maybe the 3rd floor. And so we're all like heading to the elevator, and like there was like 4 of us in there, and I'm like, shut the door. And so they're like, no, there's people. I'm like, what? It's a race.
It's the Amazing Race.
I'm like, should I get off the elevator? I feel like I need to get off the elevator.
Taking the stairs. Yeah, I think the Austin Library was not happy with me that day because I did not get permission for that. I had entrepreneurs running through the downtown Austin Library. That was such a fun event.
It so was, and you gave us like insight to Austin downtown that we never would have had otherwise. And then obviously building friendships with your teammates that were all randomly picked, so none of us knew anybody. So it was great.
I gotta do that again. I gotta do it again. That was the first event I ever hosted. I was sharing today at the live event. Like that set the bar, and I'm like, every other event after that is a piece of cake, because coordinating an amazing race and all the clues and everything. It was so fun. But so you came to that event, and then you've been at every Embodied Marketing Live. And I want to talk about, you were sharing today, we did a rating, a business and life audit, and Amy was sharing, like, when I came before this, I would have rated, I don't know what you said, like a 2 or a 5. Yeah. And now it's a 9. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about like your personal transformation and the work that you've done.
So coming to your first event after the Amazing Race event, and I have to say, like, that first event, beyond to the dinner and the introduction of embodied marketing, there were friendships built that day too. And I felt like there was a connection with the people that were there for sure, that we all felt a great connection. So when the next event came, I'm like, I'm in, and several people from the original event were at the first event doing breath work I had never done before. And it was pretty amazing for me. I would say, unfortunately, I'd been going through some grieving of some loss in my life at that time. And having during the breath work actually really lifted some weight off my shoulders, which I think every time that I've come and we've done the breath work, I have come that much closer to being as strong as, I am right now. I feel like at the beginning, I knew this is what I wanted, but I wasn't quite sure how, or do I have the capacity, those kinds of things. But through the events and your deep diving, the extras that you've provided, it's embodied. And it was like, you have to go back inside yourself and go, well, why do you think that? Do you think you're self-sabotaging yourself? What is making that happen? And like digging deeper. And we don't think about that as entrepreneurs at all. And so I think that's highly valuable. And it was basically kind of why I want to keep coming back, is I'm growing every time I'm coming.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a really cool mile marker of like where you were before. And so you shared today, you said last time we did some sort of plan focus, and one of yours was health, and it was go work out 3 times a week. And you came back today and you're like, I'm doing it. I rated myself a 9 out of 10 on health and energy because of it.
Yeah, because coming away, we have a plan for the next 3 months, the next 6 months, all of that. But I'm like, how am I going to make this different? Because I don't want to have the brain burnout. I can go hardcore and go to the wall, but it doesn't always serve me. So being able to say that, putting myself in limitations. I even went through a period of time that I didn't want to be in my office anymore. Like, I decided the energy in my office wasn't serving me, because I'd worked so many hours and worked so hard in there that I just didn't want that same mindset every time I went in. So I literally left my office for about a year, and I did the work elsewhere. And I'm building back into my office. So I'm like, nope, I'm reorganizing this space, and like saying some good energy.
Yeah, I mean, because you've changed so much,
yes.
And you've gone through also the evolution of like kind of that hustling beginning solopreneur time to like a sustainable business that is sustaining your health and your relationships and your life. What do you feel like has been, you've been to all these events, you've done the different like audits and plans and things that we do. Like what has been the biggest shift for you?
I think it comes personally. And I think it comes from the things that we're doing embodied, as a whole entrepreneur. Because I can get strategies all day, and I'm willing to follow, good strategy. But if you don't have some of the other work done around that, you may not still be successful, right? So I feel like that's been part of my success. I mean, even writing the book, that's been a year process, and there were times I'd work really hard on it, and other times I wasn't, but I wasn't giving myself a hard time about it. It was like, it's gonna get done. I have a goal. I want it done within a year, and maybe I had to work a little harder in the last couple months. But it again was like saving that energy for the times that you really need that energy.
Yeah. I mean, what I see too is like you have become the person who got to write the book and publish the book and have that confidence. Like we've talked about that. I mean, that takes the confidence of getting better at putting yourself out there on video. Like writing a book in and of itself, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there and be like, what if people don't like it? And you've continually done that work and kind of faced the things that you needed to face and seen that transformation, which obviously has a direct impact in your business. Not enough people realize that. Like you're like, give me the marketing strategy, give me this. And it's like, you can have that all day long, but then if you don't have the confidence and the clarity and the ability to go execute it and like all of that, it's not going to matter.
Right. And I have to say there's one little thing that was just kind of strange when you see the cover with your name on it and like the right vision comes forward with a book. It was like huge butterflies. Like it just was like, wow. And the other thing is that teachers in general, we work really hard for the credentials that we have, right? And so a master's degree, there's many teachers have a master's degree, but we're never asked to use it and be recognized that we have had it. So they're not on nameplates, they're not in staff directories that we have this, but there it was on my book. And I'm like that, it was like, oh my gosh, I finally get to like have credit that I did that hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, again, you became the person who got to have that.
Yeah.
A year ago, when we do the intros and you say like the 1 year, was a book on your radar then? You were already working on it. Did you say like in a year I'll have a published book?
I don't know that I did.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I know. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
But I know that it's been on my radar, but did I actually write it down? I'm not 100%. But so, I love rereading the...
Right, and going back and then it's like you created that reality that you were here a year ago to create.
The apps, I know one of them for sure. I did write that down. I'm like doing it.
Yeah.
And then I got back and within 2 days, I was already pounding it out.
And that's the takeaway. It's like, because here's the thing. You can also go to an event, leave, and not change. Mm-hmm. You can go to an event, leave, and not implement and take action. And you've got the combo of like you're coming to the events, you're pulling yourself out of the day-to-day, you're going into the unknown, into like pushing your edge, but you're going to implement. Mm-hmm. And like that's the piece I can't do for you, right? Like I can give you all the event and the experience. And so I think that's important for people to also see, because whenever I do interviews, it's like there's always seeds to success, right? Mm-hmm. And implementing and going after it, and even when you don't know and it's not all figured out and you don't have the perfect plan, because rarely do we have that, is such a key. And you've done that. Like you figured out publishing your book and I mean building a freaking app. I love it.
Yeah. Well, even a simple thing, like I cover basically, the education of menopause, but I break it down into basically your body, your mind, but then and a lot of other influencers do that as well. But then I also hit relationships and also how do you manage it during work. And so those what make me stand out, I think. And so when it was one of your podcasts that I was like, you need to dial in, like, what was your final product? Like, what do you cover? And then you go back to your lead gen, like, are you building in the same way? And so I know I told you this, but I went back and I went ahead and just redid the whole thing. Well, I have to say this time when we've had the conversation today is like, well, if people aren't taking action on that, even though if it's amazing kind of a lead gen, but they're not opening it or they're not doing something like you had mentioned today, there was, is there an actionable thing that they can do right away that takes no brain power? It's like delivered right away. So I'm thinking I need to have some kind of a 3-question 3 strategies, boom, enter. And so that's one of my takeaways that I'm going to take this time. It's
a constant refinement, you know, and then you come and you're building off of what you had done the last 6 months and built. Since you're here and we're at the event, someone considering coming to an event, what would you say?
I would say 100% do it, even if you're not quite sure what's going to come of it. I mean, I love seeing the new people that come and I'm like, you just wait. You just wait.
I know.
Yes. I'm like, You think, oh, you're just learning some strategies. It's not. It's not. And you get to know, you will come away with more understanding of yourself and how you can be a better entrepreneur for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll change your life. That's for sure. Well, what else would you like to share? Any other big takeaways from your journey so far and what you've accomplished? And I know you really want to inspire also women, to just do it and to go after their dream.
So I think confidence in this period of our life can be affected. And I have to say that menopause can, it hits during the most opportune time in your life. Like most women are leaders in this period of their life between like 45 and 55. Those are pinnacle years. And some women lose the confidence that they had because of symptoms or because it's a reality. A lot of women leave during that time when they're actually at the highest part of their career. So I encourage you to get support. I also encourage you to, if that career is actually not fulfilling for you, that you do look for something else. And it's not too late. It's not too late. Like, you're asking us to do a 10-year plan, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be 70. I'm like, what? I'm like, maybe I'll be selling my business at that time.
There you go. There you go.
But I also, when I'm like, today I was like, well, I'm going to have the impact of what I've done. And that's something that will be, something I look back on and I can be really proud of how many women I've been able to help, just as much as teaching and how many students I had an impact with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And where can everyone go to get your book and learn more about your work?
You can find my resources on amybenjaminmoore.com. Instagram, I'm at Amy Benjamin Moore on all of my socials. And yeah, so I also just think there's one other thing that I'm doing that I think will be impactful. Like I want to be more in person, right? So there was a menopause movie that came out last year, and it was the M Factor. And this year is the prequel being perimenopause. And so I'm going to do a local screening in the Des Moines Metro for women to come free, and building sponsorship around that. So so people can be on a panel with me and discuss it, or,
so
there's
fun.
other ways. Yeah. Well, so I think that's another way I'm trying to be seen in person and have those relationships built.
Yeah, you have a local network too and community, which I think is so smart. I love it. Well, thank you so much. It was so fun recording, and
so appreciative.
I will never take for granted someone who comes to all my events and implements your dream.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everything.
I appreciate you so much.